Get ready, because here's your host, Tyson Mutrix.
Welcome back to another episode of the Guild Live Show. I've got a really awesome thing that I'm going to show today. It was only a matter of time before this feature came out from Perplexity, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a little bit about Mr. Beast, which it's some interesting numbers coming out of Mr. Beast, and we're not going to get into, I think, super specifics with this article, but it's not what you think over with Mr. Beast. But I mean, Mr. Beast is amazing, so this isn't going to be throwing any shade on him, but it's really interesting when it comes to the finances. We're going to talk a little bit. I found this nice little infographic on customer journeys I thought was kind of interesting. We're going to talk about the creator economy a little bit, and then influencer marketing versus traditional marketing. So that's a little bit of a teaser for the show. It's going to be definitely going to be an interesting one. So let's get into our first topic, which is the AI email assistant, and that's from Perplexity. I did actually sign up for it. I have it. I've started to come play around with it. I got an email last night after I set it up. So there's some things I've got to do, but it's pretty cool. So this is the article here. Perplexity launches AI email assistant that can manage your Outlook or Gmail inbox for you, but it will cost $200 a month. I'm already on that plan, the pro plan or whatever they call it. So to me, it's okay. It's just an added feature because I do think Perplexity is pretty awesome. So I spend the extra money. Perplexity's $200 subscription is gaining a new feature that lets it manage your inbox by drafting replies to threads, scheduling meetings, and labeling emails using a new AI email assistant. What's really interesting about this is we already built an AI agent to do this when it comes to the drafting replies. Scheduling meetings is something, I don't know if you will remember years ago. We're talking at the beginning of the podcast. I was using an assistant, and I don't remember the name of it. Actually, it was an AI assistant that helped schedule meetings. And that was really cool. That was back, 2016-ish, right around there. It was pretty cool, but it had bugs. It definitely had some bugs. I'm very curious to see how this one does. I'm guessing it's going to do a lot better than that one. What was funny about that back then is that you would have people with the same AI assistant, and they'd be going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That was kind of an interesting thing. But then it's also funny because we created an agent to label emails as well. So that is gonna. It's one of those things where I probably have to shut my agent down to play with this one just to see how it does. But Perplexity has announced a new feature dubbed Email Assistant that lets you bring an AI agent into your inbox and let it manage your emails, schedule meetings, and even draft replies to threads that need responding to. The AI agent works in Outlook and Gmail, but it's part of Perplexity's expensive Mac subscription, which costs $200 a month. Turn your inbox into scheduled meetings, draft replies, and clear priorities, says Perplexity website. The AI agent can automatically categorize your emails into different buckets and utilize labels so that you can see what needs addressing as priority. Perplexity will also be able to jump into email threads and draft up replies using your usual writing tone and style. That part's what's cool about it. Your usual writing tone and style. It's going to be able to analyze your typical emails, and then it's going to mimic your writing style. That's pretty incredible. And then it'll wait for you to sign off on the message before sending it. You can even address the AI agent and ask it to find time in your schedule to fit meetings. I think it's pretty dang cool. So here's a rundown of all the features. Know what needs a reply and what's FYI. AI drafted responses appear in replies automatically. Email assistant handles the back and forth and puts meetings on the calendar for you. Get summaries of meetings, key emails, and daily priorities from Perplexity. I don't know. Let me know what you all think about this. I think it's a pretty cool. If you all have played around with it, let me know. I would love to hear about that as well, because sometimes people do. I will mention things and the people love it. Sometimes people say, no, I don't think so. But um, I'm going to show you, for people that are listening. I'll talk this through too. But for those of you watching, this is the main account, and I guess I thought it was called a pro account. I think it used to be called a pro account because it used to say pro down here. This does say max. And so to get into it, you click over here, and then it is, pretty sure it was right here. And I thought it said assistant over here, but maybe I am wrong. Maybe we'll go to account. Wow, interesting. So where I am now, this is interesting because last night assistant was over here, on the left side. It is no longer there, and I don't know why that would be. It's an interesting thing. So, when you do get the because you can see I do have the max plan. It's interesting because I'm on a different computer too. When you get into here, you'll see over here on the left side it says assistant, and you'll click assistant, and then that's how you'll start to set it up. It's an interesting thing that it's not showing it right now, and I don't know why that is, but it's something worth looking into. So I was going to show this to you all, but I guess I'm not going to be able to now. But that is the assistant, though. That's very cool. I know I set it up on my laptop, so I'll report back once I've played around with it a little bit more to see how the features are doing for me. So let's get into our next story, which is, this is one I called Mo Views, Mo Losses. This is a Mr. Beast article that is I found, and it is from Bloomberg Business Week. I'll try to pull this one up for you so you can see it, because Mr. Beast on his quest to turn YouTube fame into an entertainment empire. And there is a very specific quote in this that I want to read to you, because there's part of it. He did hire a CEO. I thought that was interesting too, that he's hired a CEO. If you compare that to like a law firm, like, to me, that's like the equivalent of hiring if you want to just practice law and do the legal side of things, kind of like hiring a practice manager. That's the way I looked at it. Something I learned from this article, by the way, that he's 6'5". I did not realize that Mr. Beast so Jimmy is 6'5". He just didn't look that tall to me. He's tall. That is interesting. But so here is where the part of the article that I want to show to you. Right now, however, Mr. Beast Industries is hemorrhaging money. All right. And I've heard him talk about before the amount of money that they spend each month, but I didn't think it was. I figured, okay, maybe he was just exaggerating a little bit, or they're making way more money from the videos. This is interesting though. So it's had 3 years of losses, including more than $110 million in 2024. So $110 million in losses in 2024. The viral videos account for all of it, overwhelming the profits from Feastables. So Feastables, and I don't know why they just wouldn't roll that into a separate company, but maybe Feastables is helping finance the rest of the stuff. Donaldson has been spending between $3 million and $4 million on every video he produces for the main YouTube channel, most of which lose money. In 2023, Beast spent $10 million to $15 million shooting videos it never released to the public because they weren't up to its standards. He also lost tens of millions of dollars producing Beast Games, a popular show from Amazon Prime Video, in which 1,000 people competed for $10 million by, among other things, moving a 10,000-pound boulder. That was a really good show. The production value, phenomenal. Really, really good. Last year, he brought on CEO to help professionalize his operation and reduce costs. Jeff Hausenbold, 55, spent 3 decades in Silicon Valley working at eBay Inc. and photo printing company Shutterfly Inc. Before joining Beast Industries. He's worked at 22 companies, sat on 44 boards, and invested in more than 100 businesses. And he's not shy about saying he hit pause on a comfortable existence in Northern California with 3 kids who grew up on Mr. Beast. In the Beast office, he talks about targeting more than $100 million in savings to turn the company from a high growth startup into a profitable enterprise that can live for decades. He compares Beast to Uber Technologies Inc. and DoorDash Inc., 2 companies he invested in and advised. Hausenbold actually built, scaled, and ran companies that have done billions in revenue. Donaldson says, I've never had a leader like that. I think that's a really interesting thing. I think it's cool that he's recognized that he needs someone else to run the business, that he's not, he doesn't have the skill set to do that. And that takes a lot whenever you're at that level. That takes a lot to say, all right, we're generating hundreds of millions of dollars, but it's still not working and I need to find someone else. It's one of those things where if he can do that, I think we can too. So if you're at the point where you think you need to step aside from running the daily operations and letting someone else do it, this is a nice little lesson for us here. Is, maybe it's the best thing for the company, for the firm, for you to step aside and let someone else run things. So I think that's especially true whenever you're generating lots of revenues, but maybe your costs are super high, or you feel like you're having problems managing the people or managing the business. It might be time for you to sort of step aside and find that practice manager. You don't have to go the full CEO route, but practice manager route could be the way to go. The next thing I want to show you, I thought this was pretty cool. It is something that is it's a nice little infographic that I found that I figured I would share with people that I think that you might be interested in. And let me go ahead and pull this up here for you. So here's this infographic. And it is from an email marketing person named Chase Diamond. And it gives you these customer journey stages, and it gives you the channels, the tactics, and the content types for each one of them. And so on the stages, it has awareness, consideration, decision, and then advocacy. And then you've got the different channels that you would use for that. You have the different tactics you would use, and then you have the content types. I found this to be really interesting and a really helpful way to maybe organize your marketing activities. For example, awareness is usually the part where people get stuck in, where they're just think of it as like the billboard. So the billboard, that's what this is the awareness stage. But then you have to you have to find a way to collect their information. So let's say you have a billboard with a QR code or a website for them to go to, and they go to the website and then they put in their email address. So now you've got this part of it where you're starting to do the emails, webinars, podcasts, and then the next part of the funnel. Remember, this is all funnel. And then the decision phase, maybe, okay, you're going to set up some sort of call, like the intake call. And then you get to the advocacy. And this is where this is like that nurture stage where you're not just nurturing the lead. Now you've got a client that you're now nurturing that relationship. And they put community forums, but that could be, newsletters. It could be, emails that you send on a regular basis, calendars that you mail out to them, birthday cards, all that kind of thing. But I found this to be really interesting. I'm not going to go into each part of these, but I did find it to be a really cool thing that, I'll try to find a way to put this in the show notes. I don't know how we will. Maybe we'll have to do a link to it or something, but we'll put this in the show notes so that you all can access it. 'Cause I do think it's pretty helpful for people. So make sure you check that one out. This next article we're going to get into, this is, let's get personal. This is an article from a website I'd never heard of, Martech Outlook, technology solutions that drive marketing. And so it's a bit of a, it's an article from probably someone trying to sell us some services, but um, AI-driven personalization in the creator economy. And the reality is a lot of us we are creators. That's just what we are when it comes to our marketing activities, and that's just how we have to market our businesses. The creator economy reshapes digital marketing, emphasizing genuine engagement with micro influencers, while AI enhances precision, personalization, and campaign effectiveness through data driven insights. And that's why I like this one, is because of there's these data driven insights, which then it's how you can personalize things. And that's why I wanted to bring up this article. I think it's an interesting thing. So kind of goes down through here. Um, it's not a super long article, but you've got the shift from manual processes to AI-driven solutions, AI personalization and content creation and distribution. And then you have enhancing campaign performance through real-time analytics. And this is the part I want to read, and we can go back up to the top in a second. But the role of AI extends into the critical domain of campaign optimization and performance analysis. Real-time data analytics powered by machine learning provide brands with a granular understanding of how their campaigns are performing across a network of micro influencers. These systems can track key metrics, engagement rates, click-through rates, and conversions with unparalleled accuracy. This constant stream of data allows for dynamic campaign adjustments if a particular type of content is performing exceptionally well with a specific audience segment. The AI can recommend allocating more resources to similar content or creators. So I'm going to read that part again. Okay. So the AI can recommend allocating more resources to similar content or creators. Okay. This is where the magic is, I think, in this is where you train your agents to recognize what's working, what's not working. And some of these are built in automatically. I'm pretty sure Facebook ads has a feature where it will adjust based on what's working, what's not working. I'm pretty sure all of the major ones do. So some of this is also kind of built in, but you can you can actually create your own marketing agents that can assess these and adjust things. I think that's where there might be a lot more value other than just the built-in things. The built-in ones are going to do the thing. The reason why you might need something extra is because if it's a built-in feature, that means everyone has access to it, right? And sometimes the humans can tweak things to make it work even better. That's what these agents are going to do. AI is going to be able to assess it and be like, okay, let's do this instead. This seems to be the right audience for this. This is leading to more conversions. Let's shift our ad dollars over into this area to make more money. That's where I think this is where the value is. This iterative process of optimization ensures that marketing budgets are utilized with maximum efficiency, driving a higher return on investment. This intelligent approach to advertising is fostering a more symbiotic relationship between brands and micro-influencers by automating many of the logistical and analytical aspects of campaign management. Creators are freed to focus on what they do best, creating authentic and engaging content. So I'll just end with this part of it. The data-driven insights provided by AI also empower them with a clearer understanding of their audience's preferences, enabling them to refine their content strategy and grow their community. For brands, this translates into more effective and predictable outcomes from their influencer marketing efforts. If this is something you want to check out, we can put it in the show notes. But and this is just this part of the article just talks about the shift from manual to AI driven. That's why I didn't cover that part of it. And then you've got the personalization and content creation distribution. So beyond the initial discovery phase, AI is revolutionizing the very fabric of content creation and distribution with micro influencer networks. So I didn't cover. I think this part's kind of obvious. The important part of this, the meat of this article, is really comes down to just the idea of using AI to adjust what you're doing almost on the fly when it comes to like your advertising. And then, but also the same thing is when it comes to your actual content that you create too. It can analyze it for you to determine what you should be doing and which audiences you should be focusing on. So I want to cover that. But the last article that I do want to get into, and that is um, this influencer versus or is I said the influencer is greater than traditional marketing. So influencer marketing is replacing traditional advertising, but only if it's honest. And this is, and here, just if we're kind of analyzing this website for a second, like all of these ads, no, unless I stopped to point these things out, you all would have never noticed them, right? I I just don't understand why people use this marketing anymore. This just, I know this is kind of a side note for you listening. You can't see what I'm looking at, but you've got all these ads around this website, and it's just like no one's paying attention to it. The only one that maybe I'm paying attention to is this one that's really annoying in the way, and I would never. If this were like someone selling me a product, I would never use that product. I just don't like whenever there's like an advertisement blocking my article. But anyways, um, back to the point. This is from adgully.com, by the way. Influencer marketing is replacing traditional advertising, but only if it's honest. And I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. When influencer marketing first emerged, it was shiny, unstructured, and brimming with potential. Brands were just beginning to consider creators as viable brand ambassadors, and early campaigns were often experimental. Now, let me say for a second, influencer marketing has been around forever. It really has. It's just in a different way. I mean, think about, Judge Joe Brown does advertisements for Brown and Crouppen in St. Louis. Like so that's a type of influencer marketing. Influencer marketing has been around forever. This is not something new. The term influencer might be new. And the way we're using influencers is a little bit different because you can now become an influencer if you have really good content. You don't necessarily have to be like a famous actor or a musician. That part of it's changed, but let's just be real. It's been around forever. But the landscape was still taking shape with teams managing PR efforts, creating content ideas, yada, yada, yada. So authenticity, this is the part where this is about a lot of this has to do with Gen Z, by the way. And they talk about authenticity, transparency, um, and seeing the full picture. That was a big part of this too. This big is they want to see everything. I found that part to be really interesting because many of us are not comfortable, including myself, not super comfortable with that part of it. Is kind of showing all aspects of our lives. And they say in this article, earlier campaign success was measured by sheer reach. Bigger meant better, but today relevance outweighs reach. Gen Z audiences are quick to dismiss creators with large followings if their messaging feels inauthentic. They have an acute sense for what's real and what's purely transactional. There have been instances where campaigns were rejected by Gen Z simply because the creator appeared too polished or the product felt disconnected from their visual content. In contrast, now, so this is interesting. I think that this is spot on. Uh, Billy Tarasio did a video yesterday. It was either yesterday or the day before that. It was about it had to do with their city's police department. I can't remember where she lives around Scottsdale. I can't remember the actual name of the town, but she was walking around with her cell phone and I just like sat down somewhere and it wasn't super polished. I'm guessing the video did really, really well because it caught my attention. This is one on Facebook that I caught. And I don't typically watch videos on Facebook unless Amy sends them to me. That's usually the only time I watch them. But this one caught my attention. She's like walking around, then she goes, sits down, and like it wasn't polished. It was like her moving and stuff. It was very, very authentic. She was talking about what was going on in her town, and I felt it to be very engaging. That is what seems to work. It was like almost like she was kind of pulling the curtain back to show like what's going on in her world. I thought, and it just wasn't super polished. I do find that to be very. I think that is spot on. See, brands that overlook this reality do so at their own risk. Let's see. Oh, let's see, or too polished. The product felt disconnected from their usual content. In contrast, smaller creators have gone viral simply by offering honest, unfiltered reviews. I want to make sure I mentioned that part too. And they talk about transparency equals trust. For Gen Z, transparency is non-negotiable. It's not enough to present polished content. Audiences want to know the intent behind it. They expect clear disclosure of paid partnerships. Well, that's also legally, you have to do that too. So make sure if you've got some sort of paid partnership that is mentioned, because you don't want to get popped for that. But they seek genuine alignment between creators and the brands that they promote. What was once seen as a risk, labeling a post as an ad, has now become a trust building tool. In fact, some of the most successful campaigns are those that bring audiences behind the scenes. So that's they talk about collaboration, whenever they're aligning with the values of someone else, or even include bloopers or raw moments. That's something that's helps as well. They don't want perfection; they want the full picture. Perhaps the most meaningful shift is the evolution from influencer to community leader. Gen Z follows individuals for their perspective, not just their aesthetics. Their loyalty stems from shared values, be it mental health advocacy, gaming, body positivity, sustainability, or cultural representation. Real influence today stems in connection, not broadcast. That is a great line. Best line of the entire article. Real influence today stems from connection, not broadcast. And that is where, in any marketing, it's it's that kind of, I talk about push marketing. It's just push, 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 and there is none of that engagement. There's none of that back and forth. There's none of that connection. It's just my firm's amazing. Hire us. Which people just tune that stuff out. Nano and micro influencers often outperform celebrities in terms of engagement because they foster genuine relationships with their followers. I saw people putting spoons on X yesterday because they wanted to get more views than someone, and I just thought it was kind of it was a funny thing because they were getting millions of views on a spoon versus what that person gets on their show. That was kind of a funny little thing. So they talk about purpose-driven influence and then what this means for brands today. So just to kind of wrap it up: transparency, creative freedom, values over vanity, cultural consistency, and then behind the scenes access. So I thought it was kind of an interesting article, especially if Gen Z is in your target market. So if not, I still think it's applicable. Most of it is, at least. I think that even though Gen Z has kind of led this push, it's I think most of this is still applicable to the vast majority of our potential clientele. So that's all I have for everybody this week. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you later. See you, buddy.
Our next mastermind in New York City is sold out. But don't worry, there's still time to get your tickets to the mastermind and Max LawCon in Nashville in October. Max LawCon is 2 days of immersive learning, powerful insights, and meaningful connections, all designed to provide actionable strategies you'll take back to your firm and implement right away. No fluff, just real talk and tangible takeaways you can implement immediately. Go to maxlawevents.com for more details.
I deal with life different, make that limit squeeze. Went off for my style and identity.